So, Goose, the problem with what you just said is that people like to overstate the metagame that you can, like, have or represent in a format like Modern. Like, people love to, like, think about, like, oh, I can be metagaming and, like, make changes to beat the decks that are the best decks or, like, did well a tournament recently. And, like, in reality, that's not really how Modern works. Changing Magic decks is expensive, both in terms of money and time. And most people don't have the time and the money to change decks constantly. So the Modern metagame doesn't really change a ton. Like, when Humans and Burn and Hollowed One start being the best decks, there aren't a bunch of people that stop playing what they've been playing and, like, start playing this other thing, right? God, we are just the most skilled magician, NA. Never didn't have it, chat. Spin that Bloodbraid wheel, shall we? Upstairs, makes the Goyf bigger. Roar. I opted to play the Bloodbraid Elf as opposed to the Jace the Mind Sculptor this turn, just because my opponent holding 2 mana up made it likely that my opponent could have a counter spell there, and I'd much rather they counterspell Bloodbraid or what it's getting rather than my Jace the Mind Sculptor. Terminus! Oh no! Our opponent confirmed better at drawing Terminus than we are. I mean, like, with all the Terminuses we didn't draw today, someone was bound to draw them, right? Hey, Coop Cram. Thank you very much for the 2-month resubscription. Thanks for re-upping. I appreciate that. Thanks for helping me do what I do here every day. God, the art on these is just stunning. I really love these. Quite beautiful. Put this back, put this back. Harbor, Noble, go. Drawn Sweet. Very, very powerful deck. Our opponent's dirtling, so I can only assume that that means this active Jace the Mind Sculptor is going to be the absolute best thing we could possibly be doing. Is my AV resolving this turn? 2 turns. 2 turns till AV happens. All right. So I'm gonna put click on my deck and then put the land on top of it, so that way we cascade past the land here. I think I'm clicking myself if this resolves. Well, I could click them into another Terminus, right? This could also be the Cryptic Command. So the fact that I didn't have another red source here is kind of biting me. If I would have had another red source, I could have spell pierced that. So maybe I was supposed to put an Izzet Charm back on top of my deck there and, like, play the Wooded Foothills out. I could see that being a case being made for that being the correct line that turn. Yep. You could, the Hierarch got an extra point of damage there, but yeah, it definitely wasn't amazing. So all of these seem great. These lightning bolts seem mediocre. 3 mana is just so much more mana than 2. It's like 50% more mana than 2. Does Blood Moon dumpster our opponent enough to be worth having in our deck? Probably. It probably makes their life awkward enough to be worth having in my deck. I'm just gonna trim a Noble Hierarch. Let's do that. They're a sweeper deck. Porting out a mana creature against a sweeper deck seems fine. Yeah, and like Blood Moon in conjunction with Spreading Seas can cut them off of their basic planes. Crashed Phyrexian ships that have been repurposed. That's neat. That's neat. Yeah, I agree, Trey. And like, it's interesting how the amount of mana more, like people don't realize that like 1 to 2 is a bigger jump than 2 to 3, just like 4 to 5 is a smaller jump. Like the higher you get, the less impact a mana jump really has, right? No, Cage does not prevent you because Cage, I think that's probably fine. I probably don't want this. I think I'm in the market for Spreading Seas here. Yeah, you're casting, and that's why Magic is intuitive and easy to understand, right? Like Cascade, you're casting it from exile. Go basic forest here, cast the Spreading Seas. I'm just cantripping this aggressively. You could actually argue that in formats like Legacy and even in some ways Modern, that a Braid would be worse at 1 mana because it wouldn't be able to Shatter Chalice on 1. Correct. Cage does not do anything against Living End. That is correct. Put this into play tapped. I think I'm just passing with Vendilion Clique up here. Like next turn I can Bloodbraid Elf plus Tarmogoyf off of this. I can also Bloodbraid Elf plus snap Serum Visions. I could snap Serum Visions to set up the Bloodbraid Elf Cascade. That sounds incredibly hot. That sounds incredibly hot. Anybody else getting a little bit bothered by that? Cast you. Maybe I should have end-stepped the Clique there. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's not a particularly intuitive interaction. It's a good draw. I have a bunch of lands in my hand, so I'm going to top this Izzet Charm to loot with. Nice, nice. Okay. We're cooking with gas, chat. We're cooking with gas. Gasoline. Rawr. I think this is my favorite art, Bloodbraid Elf. Snapcaster Mage. Sure. Hey, Trey with the $3 donation. Thanks, bud. Was going to give 2, but this is only 50% more. Thank you. I assume they're just going to snap this trade here. Well, to be fair, Skywarp, Cage is very obvious with what it does. The things that aren't obvious are the actual Cascade cards. Like the actual Cascade cards are the things that like aren't particularly obvious, in my opinion. So this is gonna go to 3. Cast this one. What say you, greedy 2-color mana base, to my magic card that says steal target game of Magic the Gathering? Nivik! Thanks for the 4-month resubscription, bud. I appreciate it. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Thank you for all the bits and support you send past that. I appreciate it. I think this deck's really sweet, Trey. I like this deck a lot. We've played a lot of Temur Midrange style things before. So we have a disenchant here. We're snapping. Sure. Our Kiki's now castable. Lol. That's adorable. Okay, so they're going to go get a white source here. I like it. I like it. Good use of your resources, opponent. So I'm going to start with Serum Visions here, huh? Don't want either of these cards. Wish I would have kept the Spreading Seas from earlier now. I boarded out all my bolts, Trey. Well, I could have clicked them on their turn, I suppose. As Foretold is once a cycle. I don't know that I really want to play. I think I want to save the click to counter a Terminus here at some point. Cast Ancestral Recall, targeting myself. What a tilt. Yes, I would like threats. Beep, 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 do. Third blue source means Cryptic Command is active. Good games, opponent. Our hand just didn't come together there, it looks like. So blue-white miracles 0-4 on stream today. Not all of them being played on this side of the board. We're 1-0 at any rate with our Tamer Midrange deck. I'd just like to say good morning, afternoon, good night to everybody wherever you're at in the world. Hope everyone's having a great Monday, great start to your week. Hope everyone had a great weekend. My name is Jeff Hoagland. I'm a full-time TCG player and content producer here on Twitch. I stream Magic 30, sometimes even 40 hours a week. We play a lot of Modern, we play some Pauper, we play some Legacy. What are you doing, Des? Keep on going. If you are enjoying the content, please consider subscribing on Twitch. My subscribers are the reason I'm able to do what I do as often as I do it. You can also support my stuff by supporting my sponsors. MTGOtraders.com would love to buy and sell some Magic Online cards with you. And if you use code Hoagland PayPal at checkout with them, you'll save 8% on your singles orders there. CoolStuffing.com buys and sells a lot of cool stuff, including TCG singles. Using promo code Jeff5, you can save 5% on Magic, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh cards with them. InkedGaming.com would love to help you customize your gaming experience using code Jeff12. You can save 12% on custom playmats, mouse pads, binders, and bags today. And finally, Cardsphere.com. They They would like to help you turn your Magic cards into other cards with other players. There's no haggling. They just take a 1% fee off the top. And finally, this stream is made possible by viewers like Anaronix, Justin, Nivik, and you. At the very least, please make sure you hit that follow button if you're new and enjoying the content. I always try and put the names of the decks in the stream title, so that way if you're following, you kind of know what I'm going live with on a given day. And if you can't catch me live and the deck sounds sweet, be sure to check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Jeff Hoagland. 100% of my streams get archived there, so you can watch just the stuff that you care about. And thank you for the compliment on my shirt. It is very nice. Turn to Blood Moon. What's not to love? Please be Titan Shift and not burn. Please be Titan Shift and not burn. I don't know any details of the Moto MTGO Traders bot stuff. I don't interact with their bots. Well then, I think I'm just supposed to do this, and we're just like digging for Tarmogoyf vigorously here. That was a mistake, obviously. I should have, probably should have left the land on top of my deck. I'm gonna ban the Blood Moon here. Although maybe the Blood Moon could cut them off of some stuff later. Probably not gonna have time to get this As Foretold going. I'm gonna close my window really quick. The temperature's dropped a little bit since I opened it an hour ago. Oh, not quite summer weather yet, but it feels like spring at least here in the cornfields. Yeah, mtgotraders.com. Use code Hoagland PayPal there. You'll save 8% on all of your singles with them. We do have 2 copies of Dragon's Claw on our sideboard, which is exciting. It's a card that's pretty good against a burn deck. I think we're just going to be a little bit too slow here, although that's a pretty good draw. This is why there's a basic mountain in our deck. People often ask, like, why is there a basic mountain in your Blood Moon deck? Basic mountain doesn't help you play through Blood Moon, and so you can fetch this basic mountain to get your red source against an aggressive deck and not take 2 additional points of damage. So Rift Bolt's going to knock us to 9. They have 3 cards in their hand. They're drawing a card for the turn. So we're going to need to hope they're on a lot of lands here to have a chance. And even then, thank God. Whew, the scariest thing in the world is the burn deck missing their 3rd land drop. You're just like, well, you've got all spells in your hand, huh, burn opponent? You could wait for the guide to trigger. I guess the question then becomes, do you care if they burn a Boros Charm to save the Goblin Guide? Is what that question comes down to. Maybe we're not. That's a 4th land. That's pretty good for us. All right, so you're saying... So you're saying there's a chance. We're gonna upkeep this Vendilion Clique, I think. I should probably draw step this, right? Die in response here. Gonna die to the card they draw during their draw step. The Lava Spike they draw during their draw step that I could have taken away. Eidolon or something silly. Am I dead? So close and yet so far away. So if I would have sequenced correctly there, we'd have stopped them and taken the Searing Blades during their draw step. We've got these Dragon Claws, but we really don't have a ton of good tools for this matchup outside of that. These AVs are pretty slow. I guess the Cryptic Commands are, like, fine. Like, they're not exciting, but they're fine. I'm gonna leave in a couple of Blood Moons just to cut them off of their white spells. The fact that there's no additional ways to... There's no additional ways to interact with their creatures early feels pretty bad. No, I think Blood Moon's better because it takes them off of all of their colored sources. Usually the opponent can find 2 to 3 of their colored sources. Occasionally Spreading Seas is good enough, but I'd rather just play Blood Moon and lock them out of their stuff. Hey, Frost, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime support. There's a lot of excellent people streaming on Twitch right now, so I appreciate you choosing to put your Twitch Prime towards my channel. I think Anger is too clunky and slow. I think it hurts us quite a bit in order to make double red a lot of the time, and the opponent's deck doesn't actually have that many creatures in it. Engineered Explosives is just too tempo negative to be worth bringing in. Like, I'm generally trading 3 mana for 1 of their mana, which is not good enough. All right, we tried. Moving on. Slow and steady. Slow and steady. Yep, that's just how Magic goes. I've been playing both Epic and Hearthstone on my tablet in my spare time, and like not playing those games, being games where you just like never mulligan out of a game and die, is like refreshing after playing Magic sometime. It's like, well, I always get to actually play a game, which is nice. Seems pretty good. Hopefully it's a matchup where Lightning Bolt has text. Huh. I'm gonna keep the Snapcaster Mage. The Serum Vision's probably gonna find us more land. Okay, instead of me telling you why the 6 wasn't keepable, can you explain to me why it's... God, Well, I mean, the hand we kept could cast our spells. The hand we kept could cast our spells. Feels like a Monday, right? Stop hitting him! He's dead! He's dead! Alright, I mean, 5/6 Tarmogoyf's a big boy. He's bigger than everything the Hollowed One brings to the table. He's bigger than everything Hollowed One brings to the table. Take 3 here. I take it back. All right. We got pretty fortunate here. I think I'm casting Serum Visions here. More bolts. I'm gonna bottom that. I'm gonna attack for 5 here. What does cutting them off black do? Cutting them off black doesn't accomplish anything. I'd much rather just like advance my board. But what is cutting them off of black accomplish? Your statement is correct that casting a Blood Moon cuts them off of black. But like, what does that do? How does that help me win the game? Like, what Like, does it actually help me win the game? I don't think it does, right? Like, I need to actually be able to kill them. Like, the Serum Visions finding Tarmogoyf is a way we can actually win this game, right? They do play push on occasion. I think casting the Blood Moon there is a playing to not lose line. Everyone in chat is talking about cards that like kill our Tarmogoyfs and stuff. So like you're trying to not lose the game as opposed to trying to actually win the game by like finding cards to kill our opponent. We're dead to Lightning Bolt here potentially, but other than that, we're in an okay spot. I don't have 2 red mana, so leaving Bolt on top would not have killed them. Goyf is a very good Magic the Gathering card. The Bloodghast here does mean we're gonna die to Lightning Bolt. You have 1 card left. Hopefully it's on a second bolt. Oh, I guess we're not dead to a bolt, right? Because I can bolt a Flamewake Phoenix here. I block here, bolt this, and then go to 4. That's actually really good. I'm dead on the inside, and it's Monday and we played too much blue-white. We do need to play some more Prison. So like all the people in chat that keep telling me the black spells that are in my opponent's deck, again, I understand what cards my opponent is playing. When I say, what does that do? I'm talking about contextually. What does it do for us in the context of the game that we're playing? How does cutting them off black allow us to actually win the game? That's the question you want to be asking yourself. You don't just want to be doing things to do them because it does stuff. You want to be doing things with a purpose. You want every action you're taking while you're playing a game of Magic to be advancing you towards actually winning the game. That's what you want to be doing. That's how you want to approach a game of Magic. And I can understand how it's very easy to interpret what does that do to telling me the text box of the Magic card, but that's not how I intend it to be taken. I like boarding in 1 Ancient Grudge in this matchup just because you can get 2 hollowed ones with it, and it's like a card that's okay to discard. They do only have 4 artifacts in their deck, but they draw a lot of cards, right? So like they see enough cards that they usually see a hollowed one most games. Well, I mean, even the Prison deck is talking about, like, what I'm talking about applies there. Like, that I'm not talking about playing to win versus playing to not lose. I'm talking about just having a game plan, like understanding why you're doing what you're doing in a matchup. Opponent's deck is basically an aggro deck. I like the Dragon's Claws. They play a lot of red spells. I left 2 Jaces in my deck, and this is my punishment. This hand lacks a red source, but it has a Goyf, which is one of our better cards. Also, our hand might not be our hand in 20 seconds. Paying Muspute Tax, thanks for all the insightful commentary, Weens. Thanks for re-upping your Twitch Prime support for another month. I appreciate that. There's a lot of excellent people streaming on Twitch, and I appreciate you choosing to support my content here with that. Thanks for helping me keep do what I do. So my afternoon streams are kid-free right now. Come summer, come the end of May, 100% of my streams will be kid-free. I'll be doing, I think we found a daycare in the area that we're happy with. All right, kept my Tarmogoyf, still have lands to cast my spells. My opponent drew me into a red source, you know. God bless. Everything is fine, chat. Everything is fine. one of the things I think I want to give feedback on about this deck, talking about it, I think Scavenging Ooze is just a very good card in Modern, especially in the current format. Like, it's a must-answer threat that, like, buffers your health total and is main deck graveyard hate. So I think the fact that this mid-range deck isn't playing any Scavenging Ooze is kind of strange. All right, spin the wheel again. Did I keep my Tarmogoyf again? I did not. I discarded 3 spells that time. Magic is fun. It allows players to mitigate variance by something. Hearthstone is all variance. Magic is a skill game. Something. I mean, unsummoning Hallowed One's, like, not the worst. It depends on the matchup, Griffinson. It depends on the matchup. It depends on the cards in your hand. It depends on the context of the board position you're in the matchup. I'm just gonna go ahead and Spell Pierce this, I think. Yeah, I'm actually not a big fan of Blood Moon in the current format. I think playing this deck without Blood Moon is very reasonable. That's a little personal, CK. Alright. 2 UU. Unsummon Hallowed One, gain 2 points of health. Sign me up. Your move, Kaiba. Anaronix with the tier 1 sub gift. Thanks, bud. So, if you follow me on Twitter, you know I started playing a little bit of Hearthstone for the first time ever over the weekend. And, like, just the random Magic players responding about it being all RNG, while, like, this is one of the better cards in Modern right now. And, like, Collected Company and Aetherworks Marvel have been some of the better cards in Magic. It's just, like, it's really funny to me how people are willing to just, like, go out on a limb bashing things they dislike to, like, support things they do. We really don't have a lot of good answers to this. I was hoping to draw a Tarmogoyf there. It's pretty dead. If you can 5-0 the next league, we'll drop a bunch of bits. Deal. I actually really like the next deck we have coming up. The next deck we have coming up is on my short list of decks for the Louisville Open next month. Well, I think I'd rather have Scavenging Ooze than Blood Moon. I don't think Blood Moon is particularly well positioned in the current format. I think it's not great against a lot of the aggressive decks. I think if your deck needs to hope to steal games with Blood Moon, you should probably just play something else. I think this deck can survive on card quality rather than trying to steal games with Blood Moon. I've been enjoying the Hearthstone Constructed that I played a lot so far. I built a budget tempo mage list for a very small amount of money, and it generates. Hearthstone is surprisingly interactive. Like, the way their creature combat system works makes the game extremely interactive in ways Magic just never will be. Grishelbrand is on my short list as well, Shannon. Yeah, you probably want Blood Moon or Damping Sphere in the sideboard for interacting with decks like Tron, but in general, I'm not a huge fan of it. So we discarded Bloodbraid, Tireless Tracker, Bloodbraid, and we kept Ancient Grudge in our hand along with 2 lands. Put this towards Abs and Angel Cord for sure, Motol. Thank you very much. I appreciate the bits. Thanks for the support. Yeah, maybe. I'm just on full life tilt from that Burning Inquiry. Just like pack it up. Just hogland sick of it. Chat, Rogue is correct that I should have popped the relic to prevent a delve creature there. It was kind of just tilted enough from what had happened that... As someone who's played a lot of different indie, third-party, small TCG, CCGs, it's kind of refreshing. Like, I'm not sure if you're aware of this. Maybe you have or haven't played much Hearthstone. Blizzard is really good at making video games. Like exceptionally good at making video games. And I, as an adult who has more money than time in general, I don't mind paying money for a game that I enjoy playing. And the software quality aspect of Hearthstone is just superb. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yeah, sure, Interonyx. Actually, Christy and I were looking for, so long as it's not something like obnoxious. Like, make sure if it's PG-13 friendly, that's fine. Yeah, I agree, Lukatog. I feel like Hollowed One, the games I beat Hollowed One, their deck just doesn't do anything, and the games I lose are often very frustrating. Yeah, the mobile is actually why I started playing Hearthstone. I was looking for a game that I could play while sitting on the couch with my tablet. Seth3 with the brand new tier 1 sub. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. My subscribers, as always, are the reason I'm able to do what I do here. So thanks for helping me do what I do. Yeah, I've tried, I actually really like Epic's digital card game, but Epic, their development, they're a Kickstarter project again, so like they don't have a lot of development resources, so like the actual development of their digital client has been slow and clunky and has bugs in it that are slow to be addressed, so it's nice to play a game that I'm enjoying actually playing Hearthstone as a game, and the software aspect of it is really well done. Alright, so I think I want to bolt this Pia and Kieran Nalar. I'm going to fetch a green source tapped, and we'll get this As Foretold going. I think I'm just holding this back for now. I don't know, I feel like the As Foretold, I don't know if I really like As Foretold in general in this deck. It's going to be great in this matchup here, obviously, if we go a little bit longer. Well, I don't think you strictly lose to Burning Inquiry, but sometimes, like, the Burning Inquiry doesn't matter, and they'll just, like, put 13 power into play on turn 2, right? I was holding it back because of potentially Bloodbraid Elf, but maybe that's silly. Maybe that's silly. Like, once I pass the turn here, like, I get a counter on this, which lets me hold this up without holding up mana, which is nice. I probably should have just chunked in with this last turn. Sure. I'd actually rather that they leave us the mountain so that way we can Snapcaster Bolt off this As Foretold. I guess I could have Spell Pierced that, huh? So I'm going to take this Bolt and send it upstairs here. Unless they play Shannon with the $30 donation. Thank you very much. Too many interactive decks. We need more Apes and Griselbrands in the donation queue. Sounds good. I'll get that added in there. And I think at least one of my Dealer's Choice decks is probably going to be Griselbrand. My Dealer's Choice decks are probably just going to be a series of decks I'm considering playing in Louisville. I'm actually not sure on that, how it works with... I don't want either of these cards, I don't think. One of the cool things that's cool to remember about As Foretold is that you can use it on your turn and their turn. So I just used it to cast the Serum Visions there, and then on my opponent's turn, we're going to use it to cast Snapcaster Mage. We're looking to dodge Inferno Titan here, and they're only at 4 mana, so we should be able to sidestep that pretty nicely. Yeah, Bitter Blossom's just not a particularly powerful card. I keep referring to a short list. I need to just write down what my short list is. I think I have all of them. Oh no, please don't Blood Moon me, opponent. How will I ever possibly win the game now? My only mountain is a mountain. Oh no, please no, Ponza, opponent. You destroyed so many of my lands and you cast a Blood Moon. How could I possibly win the game? Oh, wait. All right. So we're going to board my Blood Moons out. We're going to bring in these Spreading Seas. We're going to bring in this Explosives. This Electrolyze is probably okay, too. As Foretold is the Nut, so we're going to leave that there. I'm going to board out Jace the Mind Sculptor. He seems pretty rancid. Anger's probably fine as a catch-up card. Let's do it. What's going on, Psycho Smurf? Yeah, a lot of the time too, because they often Blood Moon with just like 1 to 2 forests in play, so sometimes we can cut them off of green. I need to stop expanding my short list. What is my short list? I think it's... I need to close all these. I'm pretty sure it's UR Prison, Griselbrand, Sultai Delve, and Jeskai Nahiri. I think those are the 4. I think those are the 4 I need to pick for. I'm still working my way through all of the Jace main decks we had in the queue. I've been rejecting most of the decks people submit with Jace in the main deck these days, just because it's not good. It's just not good. Blue-Red Prison's a deck we've played a bunch on stream. You should check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Jeff Logan. There's a bunch of videos on there. The Sprawls do fall off the forest if you spread them, which is why it's quite excellent. I'm gonna fetch a Stomping Ground here and bolt the crap out of this. And I'll fetch a Steam Vent, actually. So that way next turn I could go... actually, I guess I probably want to fetch for a basic next turn, right? We have black bordered blood moons and a white bordered mountain. I have enough lands that I think I'm okay with them stone raining me here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and suspend that. I think I'd rather fetch a forest than a island if they blood moon us this turn. What is Pyro Prison, Shannon? I'm kind of afraid to ask. You're not the employee they want, but you're the employee they need. I have no desire to work for Wizards of the Coast. I am far... The amount of money that would be required for me to make to be willing to live in the Seattle area is probably not in the pay range of what Wizards of the Coast pays their employees. To be blunt. Yeah, it's not, they don't have the budget. They don't have the budget. They don't pay the industry standard. If I was gonna do software development in the Seattle area, you should look at what Amazon and Microsoft pay software developers. Hint, it's a lot. The cost of living in the Seattle area is not cheap. That sounds really terrible. Every time I play with or against those style of prison decks, they always seem pretty anemic in Modern. The joy of getting to work for WotC. Yeah, $2,300 a month for a studio. That's almost twice my mortgage where I live now. I have a big house that's got a decent sized piece of property. My entry-level friend at Amazon made 6 figures of software. Yep. You should. Their last card's Blood Moon here. We're probably gonna have to concede, but... Survey says, give me lands. Ding. All right, so... What am I doing? I'm just gonna bolt this and then cast this Noble Hierarch. I'm gonna hold the AV because I can cast it off the As Foretold next turn. Surely they don't leave in Blood Moon. What a perfect time for that comment to pop up in chat. What you need to understand is that the average person playing Panza is never boarding out their Blood Moons. That's what you need to understand. You need to understand that if they have committed to buying cards to play Panza, the Blood Moons are always in their deck. And you know what? This is great. Their Kessig Wolf run is a mountain now. I have an As Foretold. The world's our oyster, chat. The world's our oyster. if they don't have enough cards to bring in against the blue mid-range deck to cut their Blood Moons, their deck has to be constructed wrong. Snap a bolt here, take this thing off the table and start beating them down. As long as we can dodge like Inferno Titan. Their deck has a ton of blanks in it at this point, so we just need a couple of blanks to close this out very quickly. Trinisphere, sure. That's a do-nothing card. How does Trinisphere interact with As Foretold? I'm pretty sure Trinisphere wins. Yeah, it does. That's awkward. The answer is basically always Trinisphere wins. For reference, for people that are new to Magic, the answer is always Trinisphere wins. All right, 3-2 for 4. Go. Getcha. All right, 2-2. Scoreboard. This is a modern deck, so I'm assuming we're going to win the last one and finish 3-2. We got a sweet Sultai mid-range deck coming up next. I'm pretty conservative when I board in Blood Moon. Basically, I only like to board in Blood Moon if it is going to have an impact on the game, even when it doesn't prevent my opponent from playing a game of Magic. So, for example, I like to board in Blood Moon against control decks that have creature lands, because even when they fetch basics to like not get completely screwed by the Blood Moon is still turning off their creature lands. Do I turn to Blood Moon on the play if it cuts me off of all of my colored sources of mana? Do we turn to Blood Moon on the play if it cuts us off all our colors? It's probably going to depend on what their turn one looks like. Do I open my treasure chest for the low cost of a $2.50 donation or a 250-bit cheer? I will open a treasure chest that we have on stream. Otherwise, I take those treasure chests and I sell them for cash dollars that turn into mortgage payments. Because I like living in my house. It's a nice house. Turn 1 Celestial Colonnade. Definitely Blood Moon you. Please don't bolt my Noble Hierarch. Please don't bolt my Noble Hierarch. Please don't bolt my Noble Hierarch. Are you pathing my Noble Hierarch? Is that what we're going with? I really don't want another Goyf here. Gonna go bottom. Deal, Trey. Wall of Omens. How are my dirt dinosaurs supposed to attack through that? I did in fact find the Pringle sled the other night. Well, we're exalted, but the wall's gonna stand tall here. My opponent should be thanking me. I made their Celestial Colonnade come into play untapped. Alright, I'm gonna eat one more stack of Pringles. I'll mute myself while I do it. Sorry, I should have muted myself for the other one. Apologies. Why do they even put Pringles in cans? They should just put them on tiny conveyor belts. That's great. There's going to be a Dad Chad minus here. They have Wrath of God or Day of Judgment, maybe. So we have a delicious Sunbelt Bakery granola bar here. Yes, I would love a land. Thank you. Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't get an island. Clique's actually a great draw here. And we can click ourselves. Put one of these Blood Moons away. This isn't fair, opponent. You're not supposed to continue playing Magic after I Blood Moon you. You're supposed to concede and be sad. Thinks is an interesting main deck card. Hit a click of their own. Okay. Man, I really wish Pringle sponsored the stream. I want free stuff. I want free stuff. The mono blue control is, I think it's actually kind of good. It might not be very fun to watch. Depends on what it is. Feel free to message me in private, and I will let you know if it's something I'm willing to play or not. Thank you very much for the bit, Foxocon. That's a good one. That's a good one, y'all. Yeah, there was a more mid-range blue-white list that did well recently, right? Had like a bunch of creatures in the main. I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well. is either Vendilion Clique didn't make it because it was weaker because it was a little bit worn out because someone scribbled on the top of it with a Sharpie here. Good night, Tom. Have a good one, mate. Yep. Yeah, I think it's very likely that my opponent's deck has Restoration Angel in it. They're on 2 cards in hand here. The classic tap all of my planes to cast my Jace the Mind Sculptor. Goblin Charbelcher, Timmy? Yeah, we played that deck a lot, actually. Played it a bunch on stream. The 7-land Charbelcher deck. It's a lot of fun. So I like drawing cards, so I'm just gonna brainstorm. Izzet Charm's not a terrible draw. Let's just loot past some of those eventually here. Opponent plus their Jace because they're a coward, right? Do you know that every time you plus your Jace opponent, you're refusing to draw 3 cards? Are you aware that drawing 3 cards is something that you could be doing as opposed to the action that you've taken? This is really bad for us because they get to Detention Sphere my Blood Moon. Oh sure, I'll just take the Jace deal. I thought for sure they were going to exile this and then fire up the Colonnade and kill the Jace. I forgot that it was gonna take their Jace too. That's quite excellent. That's just A+ MTGO right there. Jesus. Jace has been a bad boy, chat. Jace has been a bad boy. I didn't even realize that was happening. I was like thinking about how I was going to beat their Jace, and I was like, oh wait, I looked up, I was like, oh, their Jace is gone too. God bless, God bless. The symmetry is contained. Lock him up and throw away the key. Let's have another Jace the Mind Sculptor. This is so unfair. Can you believe that Wizards of the Coast unbanned this card in Modern, ruining the format? Look, speaking as someone who has started 2-2 at many a Star City Games Open and then fought my way back to 13-2 to top 8, Magic's much easier in the X2 bracket. Magic is much easier in the X2 bracket. Alright, snaps and bolts, kill their Jace here. Get 3 looks at those cards with this as a charm loot. Opponent currently down 3 minutes on clock. Oh. Found a piece of candy, chat. Found a piece of candy. Yeah, but I'm not the one that's playing Detention Sphere. That was the one playing Detention. Oh my god, the fucking redirect rule. Oh my god, the redirect rule, chat. No! Oh, Magic, why do you change the rules? I don't even wanna, nah, I'm done. I quit. I'm done playing this mirror match. Just off it. Off it. All right. Temur stuff. Let's fix it so we can see the sideboard. I'm not a huge fan. To be fair, reading the card never would have explained that to me. Reading the card wouldn't have explained that to me, to any target. So, like, can I Lightning Bolt a land? Can I Lightning Bolt an enchantment? Like, those are targets, right? We're gonna do that basically every stream the first time we try and kill a Planeswalker with a Lightning Bolt. I really just feel like this deck's kind of a hot, clunky mess. I think when this deck did well, it was one of the first couple of leagues out of the gate after unbanning Jace and Bloodbraid. So, like, the format was kind of like this inbred cluster of, like, people trying to dirtle. And I think in a modern format like we're playing, where things are a little bit streamlined and stuff like that, I think this is just far too clunky. I don't really like Blood Moon in the context of the current modern format. I think there's too many decks that get under it. I think the mid-range and control decks where it tends to shine. That last game is a good example where they have enough basics and they can kind of play through it. And I think on top of that, it makes our mana awkward to boot. So I just don't think Blood Moon is a particularly good card right now. So I'm not a big fan of a lot of things this deck is doing. I think if I wanted to play a Temur mid-range style deck, I'd probably start with something that didn't look like this. I think this is not a core that I would start with.